So, quick, what's the word? An analysis of a fantasy fight. Now, Ricky Hatton, God rest him, against Junior Witter. Junior Witter, I've got his book out next month, but that's what I'm not talking about. So Ricky Hatton, Witter, who would have won? Now, there was various times when this fight could have happened, and there was different stories. Now, the fight for the British belt was due to take place in October 2000. Brendan Ingle and Frank Warren said, "Look, we'll step aside. We'll use John Thaxton as a yardstick." This is what Johnny Nelson told me. And Ricky will come through, or if Ricky comes through, then he will fight Junior. Now, if Thaxton would have won, there wouldn't have been a fight because Witter and Thaxton were close friends and stablemates. And basically, that fight happened. I think Ricky was cut in the first round. I think it was a lot closer than what people thought. Ricky got cut in the first round, boxed, won the fight. He did win the fight. It was certainly, I have watched it recently. It was certainly a lot closer than what people thought. Now, if Witter and Hatton, going back, Ricky won the British title, and rather than face Junior, he vacated the title. Now, if that fight had have happened then, like 2000, 2001, 2002, Junior was the favourite for the bookies. That's not an opinion, that's a fact. I have Googled it on the archives because I have access to the archives. That was at the time when Junior went on. He lost his Abjuda, beat Alan Bosworth for the vacant British, and went on 15 fights, 15 wins, for the next 2001, 2002, 2003, 2004, to when he fought Love Mondu, 2005. And then in that time, Ricky's facing Stephen Smith. He's fighting Eamon McGee. Now, if I think that fight had happened then, I personally think that, in my head, this is what would have happened. I think Ricky was, when you look at Junior's best performances, it was against people like Alan Bosworth, who was similar to Ricky, obviously nowhere near as good. And I think I could have seen that fight, Ricky coming forward, kind of steaming him and walking into some of Junior's punches, and Junior cutting him. Because I know Ricky did suffer from cuts, and then I think he did have an operation. And this was in that time. And I think if that fight had took place in those days, I think I would have favoured Junior. Anyone who understands boxing knows that was a 50-50 fight. Now, if that fight happened... Now, Spencer Fearon said to me, he said there was a small time in 2007 when Junior Witter beat any 10-stone fighter on the planet. And I think if that fight had took place in 2007, I think I would have edged towards Junior. But I think if it have maybe been 2005, 2006, or afterwards, I could have seen Ricky outworking Junior. At times, Junior Witter didn't turn up. You've only got to look at his fight against Frankie Gavin. Sometimes he was very lackluster. He could be very negative. And I think Ricky could have outworked him, out-hustled him, and beat him for... I don't think he knocks Junior Witter out. I think he had a fantastic chin. Hatton wasn't a massive concussive punch. He was more freeze and falls and work the body. I think Junior Witter's too tough and durable for Hatton to stop him. But I could see, sorry, Junior, but I'm just being honest, I could have seen Ricky swarming him for 12 rounds, Junior not turning up at the office, and Ricky winning by a landslide. That's just, we'll never know. It's very sad. God rest him, he's no longer here. He's absolute boxing royalty. Never again in this world, in this lifetime, will there be anyone as loved and adored. And I don't think, not in boxing, I don't think there'll be another sportsman, certainly in Britain anyway, maybe over in Mexico or Manny Pacquiao, but he was loved and adored. And the fight itself, as I said, I could have seen Witter. In my opinion, I think, and obviously I've studied Junior for a couple of years now. I personally think Junior would have been more up and on the ball for Ricky Hatton than he would have been if he'd have had a shot at Floyd Mayweather. Obviously, Ricky would not, I repeat, not have wanted to lose to a guy who, at the time, well, they became good friends in the end. And, at one point, in his book, actually, Ricky said to him, "What are you doing next week?" He said, "Could you fancy coming on holiday with me, Tenerife?" And Junior was like, "Do you know what, Ricky? I've got a fight coming up, otherwise I would have done." So they did become, I don't think best mates. I don't think they could ever, but there was love, there was respect, and they are going to be linked forever. They were linked for 10 years, and that's anyone who knows boxing who lived through that era, if you like, and followed it like I did. Yeah, it's just you can't deny it. But I think, as I said, if that fight had happened then, 2001, 2002, I would have favoured Witter 3-4, stopped him on cuts. I think if Hatton had have maybe, if it had been maybe 2005, 2006, when the Kostya Tszyu and the Carlos Mauser fight, I think that version of Ricky could have been all over him like a cheap suit. Junior wouldn't have liked it. And I could have seen Ricky win on a wide points decision. And then, of course, when Junior Witter fought, not when he won the world title, it was second defence, vicious Vivian Harris, monster of a guy, nearly 6 foot, dangerous African based in New York. Everyone was avoiding him. He'd just beaten that guy who Ricky beat in that Ellen Road fight. What was it called? He was a Mexican. I forgot his name. Did he stop him as well? Someone put in the comments the name. It was basically after Ricky lost to Floyd, he came home and he fought at the Man City Stadium. This would have been about 2008. It was a big pay-per-view fight. Wasn't Wanyarango. Can't remember, but you get my point. So this guy, Vicious Vivian Harris, beat him, and nobody wanted him. And Junior was like, "Yeah, I'll box him." And I think that version of Junior, as Spencer Fearon said, was there was a small window, 3-4 months, when he would have beat any 10-stone fighter on the planet. I remember Adam Kelly from Sky Sports. What's Adam Kelly? Do you know my man's terrible? I might not even be that. It's one of this. Not Adam Smith. Do you know my mind is absolutely? Do you know my memory is terrible? It's anyway, and he basically, before the fight, the Sky Sports, they went to the Ingle gym and they watched Junior, and he said he looked like an absolute $1 million. He's going to win the WBC belt this week. Anyway, Vicious Vivian Harris trained at the Ingle gym, St. Thomas Gym on Newman Road, and he said he was a monster. He said, "Oh my God, Junior Witter is so unlucky. He is not beating this guy." Obviously, Junior turns out he did knock him. God, who's the guy's name? Blonde guy. He's on my Twitter. Adam. Anyway, sorry. Normally I'm pretty good at stuff like that, but I can't think of it. But anyway, Sky Report, and he said anyway, obviously the outcome, but that's my opinion. I think it would have been not 49-51. I think it would have been a genuine 50-50. I think Junior could have completely, emphatically annihilated him, maybe cut him to bits. Really, really shocked the world. Not shocked the world, but really, just being cool, calculated, and just was absolutely awesome. Or I could have seen Ricky just outworking him. I'll never. It depends. I think it certainly depends on. Was it 2001? And then, of course, they were both world champions many years later. And not only Hatton and Witter, there was Gavin Rees. So out there, the 4 world titles, 4 of them were in Britain. But yeah, do you know, I'm stressed out when I'm thinking of those names. But anyway, put some comments in below, and I'm going to have a Google actually. But yeah, that's my take on Witter against Hatton. I think Witter early. I think Ricky could have, as I said, really just outworked him. And you know, Junior was very much like. I mean, listen, do you know, who remembers watching Audley Harrison? He was a mood fighter. And sometimes when Audley Harrison turned up, he looked $1 million. He looked the mutt's nuts. You know, that big southpaw jab and the big left hand. And sometimes, but then again, sometimes when he didn't turn up, you just think you look like you've never put a pair of boxing gloves on, let alone never win an Olympic medal. And some of Junior's fights could have been like that. So I think it'd have been very much which Junior Witter. But it's called, of course, it's all hypothetical. We will never know. Very, very sad. I spoke to Junior this week, and he said, "You know what? I still had a little hope." You know, Ricky, God rest him, was due to be having an exhibition in December, which was only 2 months ago. And with all the Saudi money, and I think Junior said to me for that book, he is the one fight, even if I was in a nursing home when I'm in my 80, he is the one fight I would always put my Zimmer frame down and come out for. But yeah, but I tell you what, Junior, fair play to him. He said a lot of lovely, heartwarming words, and this book should have came out months ago, but obviously we put it back out of respect. There's things regarding Ricky we just cannot, you know, it's like you can't mention cops without the robbers, you can't mention cats without dogs, you can't mention salt without vinegar. And Ricky, you know, was part of Junior's whole career. He had over 50 fights and he was there. I know they never fought, and you know, it never came off. No fault of Junior wanting to try, but he was there and he chased it, and at times he thought he had it. But what has been put in the book has been highly respectful, and we couldn't avoid it. But credit to Junior, because he has added one more chapter in, and it's called R.I.P. Ricky. And it'll be good. It's a really good, decent, respectful read. And anyone who's followed boxing half as much as I did in that era, you'll agree with it all. There's no bull BS or nothing like that. But yeah, that's my thoughts regarding Witter, Hatton. It would be down to what time, the early days of the British title. Now, don't forget, James DeGale and George Groves was a pay-per-view in 2011. You know, so could you imagine if Witter and Hatton would have done that in those days? And if they didn't, if it was too early, I mean, there was pay-per-views as early as 95. I remember buying Holyfield Tyson 96. That was so 5 years after this could have been. But if not, it certainly could have been an open air arena. It could have been a Tottenham or a Wembley. When Junior had his WBC, Ricky had his IBF or his WBA. Junior didn't have anything to him. Junior Witter couldn't offer anything to Ricky Hatton. Junior Witter couldn't sell tickets. Junior Witter had the WBC belt. That is the number one, the world boxing. Anyone who understands the noble art, pugilism, like I do, that is the one. That's the illustrious green strap. That's the Muhammad Ali belt. The WBC, WBA stroke IBF at about the same. And then there's the WBO, where that has come on a lot over the last couple of years. Manny Pacquiao's held it, Vladimir Klitschko's held it, but it wasn't highly thought of, 30 odd years ago when Eubank was defended it for 5 years. But let us know your thoughts. Who have you got, Witter or Hatton? Let us know your thoughts.